Hello, I'm Raj Chengappa, and I'm standing with Dr. Krishna Ella, the founder, chairman, managing director of Bharat Biotech, the manufacturers of Covaxin, the ones that saved much of India with its effective COVID vaccine that has been in production now for almost how many, almost a year, Dr. Ella?
Year and a half, 1.5 years.
And let's begin the story, Dr. Ella. What is the uh, difficulty in making Covaxin? Why is it so difficult to make a vaccine that can handle this pandemic that has devastated the world?
I mean, inactivated vaccine is always the toughest in the world. And even multinationals, when they're manufacturing, cannot manufacture so much quantity. Injectable polio vaccine, both two multinational put together, they don't even manufacture 30 million doses per month also. Okay? So that way, I think, 90% of the virus, while manufacturing and process time, we lose the live virus. Live virus is easy to multiply. You don't need much quality control, much of downstream processing and all that. Here, we need lots of step of purification, inactivation steps. So thereby, 90% of the virus particle we lose in the process.
Now, we are standing in the laboratory that's here. This, of course, is a very safe zone, so our caps are off and everything else. But in this particular laboratory, just a couple of meters away is where the entire process begins to create what is called an inactivated vaccine that then goes and produces the Covaxin that then gives you immunity. But I'm not getting into the complexity. Let me just start by asking you, Dr. Ella, when the entire Wuhan episode happened, what was your sense? Were you prepared? What is it that made you say, okay, I'm going to make the vaccine here?
I mean, as I said earlier, we've been working on a lot of pandemic vaccines, whether chikungunya, Zika, pandemic flu, all that. So we knew that something will come one day. And I was just talking to you earlier, in 2019, December first week itself, I predicted something will come to the world. When I was giving a lecture in the Carnegie Mellon Foundation lecture in Bangalore, I did say that in the meeting, that yes, something will come, but we need to be prepared ourselves. And I think, we had an infrastructure facility in place, and we partnered with ICMR and NIV, all came in handy. So that's how we make India to be proud of it.
Now that's a very important point that Dr. Ella makes. We have not, in terms of actual, the pandemic itself, India is among the top 4 or 5 countries that has its own indigenous vaccine that has been made, and that is Dr. Ella's contribution. Why did you decide that India should be making? You could as well, like other companies have imported it from other pharmaceutical, research agencies and then manufactured them yourself. Why did you decide that India should be making it?
I mean, you look at nuclear thing, G7, or people who has got a nuclear capabilities, they're treated differently. And I think if you want that to be treated in vaccine is also like a nuclear now. I mean, it's as important as a nuclear thing in the vaccine. And I think I want that India to be there in the map. That's very important for us as a country. And we are a new generation entrepreneurs. I mean, we are a new generation entrepreneurs to show to the next generation that India can do it.
Now, that's a very important point that you're making, in the sense that what gave you the confidence that you were able to do this in the time frame? It's also very important in terms of a vaccine that you have to get it done in a particular time, because people are suffering, people are dying out of this. And you can't take 10 years like normally a vaccine does. How is that you're able to do? Earlier you would take, say, for your typhoid vaccines or rotavirus vaccines would take 5 to 10 years. How do you all collapse the time, and how did you ensure that still safety and immunogenicity or protection is maintained?
No, I think that's where the partnership comes into picture. NIV also helped us quite a bit on quality control standards and animal challenging studies. They have done a lot of things. When we were doing parallelly on a phase 1 trial, they also helped us on other quality control angles and all that. I think this partnership helped us, number one. Number two, I think my employees, actually none of them, they saw the family for 4 months because there was no vaccine. So we don't want them to, while working at Covaxin facility, should go and meet their family and they give the virus anything to the family. We don't want city to be contaminated. So we made all the employees, to some of them, to stay back in the near the premise and stay almost, they were working almost 12 to 18 hours in a day, and that is a lockdown time. So literally, I think they worked hard, and I think I have to salute all my employees, and also the government missionaries, with the regulatory system and NIV system. Everybody worked day and night on this matter. So I think it really helped us.
Now, when you talk about the facilities that are required for it, we as general public don't understand how you take an activated virus that is a live virus and ensure that there's no damage, you're not getting infected, but yet get the protection. So can you very simply explain the processes and why is it so complex? Why can't everybody else do it?
No, I think I'm proud to say that this is the first BSL-3 production facility. Many people confuse with a BSL-3 lab. BSL-3 labs are all over the world, but BSL-3 production facility, I think we are the first one in the world for human vaccines. And I think that's number one set. Number two, in a BSL-3 containment.
Can you just define BSL because, I mean, no one, it's not a familiar term.
See, biosafety levels 1, 2, 3. According to the virus, we need to work according to the containment. The concept in a BSL-3 is that what we are working with the virus should not attack the human being. Where you are, suppose I'm working here, I should not get the virus back attack me. So we create a negative pressure. The negative pressure means the air is sucked out of the room. When you suck out, any virus in the room also will suck out. And that is, of course, it's filtered, sterilized, and sends out there. The second is the water that comes out of the plant should not get into the drainage system. Third is the air that is coming out of the facility should not escape environment. No virus can escape into the environment. So we need to protect the human being who is working in the facility. The soil should be protected because no drainage water should go inside. Third, air should be protected. So that's why we call biosafety level 3, which is a highly protected facility.
And is this the only complex that has it, or there are many such BSL laboratories across the country, or the only ones that is really doing the COVID vaccine?
See, BSL-3 production facility is only 2 facilities in the world. One is a Philbright in UK, and second one is a Bharat Biotech, our own company, Biovet in Bangalore, has got BSL-3 plus. But this one, what you're standing right now, is a BSL-3 facility, which is lesser than BSL-3 plus. So BSL-3 probably this is the only one in the world for a production facility. Lab, many people confuse with the lab. Lab is different. Lab is easy to create, but production facility is very tough to create.
And can you just quickly take us through the processes of how from that, what are the skill sets you require to create a vaccine? What is so sophisticated, what's so difficult to make a vaccine, and why does it take so long, and how were you all able to bring it down in terms of time?
I mean, a particular traditional vaccines like this Covaxin, which requires a lot of skill set. How to grow the virus is one side, how to grow the cells one side, and then how to mix both together and then get the best virus multiplication in that cell. Suppose in this one fermenter, it can give 1 million doses one time, if you have good skill set. If somebody got a bad skill set, you may not even get 100,000 doses. So there's a magnitude of difference is because of skill set. And the process control, it has to be very tightly controlled. It's a biological system. Whereas mRNA vaccine is not a very biological system. It's a chemical synthesis, mRNA vaccine. Easy to control the process. But this one is a very complicated process. Complicated controls are required. And you saw that everything is automated plant. One SCADA system controls the process from one area. Right now we are studying in media preparation room. No virus, no cells are grown here. From here, all the, you see the through pipeline, everything goes to another area. Nothing moves from here. Everything is stationary. It shifted everything through pipeline, goes to that area. One side cells are coming, one side virus is going, one side media is growing. All three combined in another big fermenter, 1,000 liter, 2,000 liter fermenters. They multiply together, all three, and then you grow them. And then whatever virus multiplies, that one virus, which are per one cell, that one virus becomes 1 billion virus particle in one cell. And you multiply that and inactivate them and purify them, and then you formulate.
Well, it's a very complex science, of course, and I think Dr. Ella has explained it brilliantly. In the sense, what they do is they take the live virus, they pass it through various chemicals that are there that actually kills the part that is able to bind with our human cells and multiply rapidly, but gives us, allows our cells to recognize that that is an alien and therefore builds the immunity. Am I sort of saying it right? Or
absolutely right. You see, your 2 fingers, it just looks like this is a live virus, this is inactivated virus. Okay. The difference between these two, here you have RNA is present here. That RNA allows to go into lungs, multiply the virus. Here what we do is we kill the RNA with a chemical called beta-propiolactone, we call BPL. We kill that virus, RNA. When you kill RNA, both look similar, so the body thinks some virus has come as a vaccine, but it cannot multiply. So it mimics exactly like virus body. That's why you get immune response, which can neutralize this live virus. When it comes here, new virus, this antibody to inactivated vaccine, it produces that antibody, neutralize this.
Now, I mean, that of course, apart from the fact that you've developed this an ability to create immunity, because it's being tested for the first time, what is the kind of levels of test after that to ensure that people like me who get this don't get infected with COVID, I'm safe, there are no side effects, I don't get a heart attack or this thing. What are the precautions you'll take? What are the tests you'll have to do to reach that point?
I mean, we have BSL-3 quality control lab. So whatever we do the batch, we have 64 quality control methods. Actually, if you look at it, all the vaccines that are in the market, we are the highest quality control standards that is followed. 64 methods of quality control followed. And every batch, we inject into animal, vaccine after formulation, inject into animal, draw the blood sample after 28th day, and then we put in the QC lab where the live virus, these antibody isolated from the mice or guinea pig. We isolated this antibody, put into the virus, and see that virus doesn't multiply. It neutralizes. We call microneutralization. That means all the live virus particles are neutralized by the antibody. Until it confirmed, we don't release a batch. So it's got 64 methods of quality control.
So apart from that, you also have human trials that you do where you checked in your phase 1 for safety, then you check in phase 2 for immunogenicity. Am I right?
We do safety in the phase 1. Phase 2, we decide the dosage. Phase 3, we do efficacy. Once decided in phase 2, whatever dose we decided, that goes to phase 3 efficacy. That is where we have done 26,000 people. We inject placebo, one cohort. Another set of people who are vaccinated. It's a double blind. Nobody knows who got a vaccine, who got a placebo. Okay? And then you leave the people in the living situation. And then we look at it, who got the disease, who didn't get the disease. That's all.
And so therefore, Covaxin has now been cleared for emergency use across India. That's the first point that's there.
No, we already approved more than 25 countries. More than 25 countries approved by UL, including WHO has approved. But more than otherwise, 25 independent countries are approved, like Iran, Myanmar, Ghana, Philippines, Thailand, a lot of countries, Paraguay, Uruguay, all those countries are already approved of that.
And how do you measure the effectiveness, and what is your reports? How many Covaxin, people have received Covaxin? Now, if you look at, in the last so many months that's there, how many of them have received it, and what is the effectiveness of it? How do we know that it's working? What do you all do to do a follow-up to check whether people are not being infected?
No, I mean, it's a good question. We follow up the phase 1 and phase 2 people also. We take their blood samples every 2-3 months. We get a permission from the drug controller. We follow up them on this. And how many people got the disease, how much their immune response is there, how long it is there. So we are following up. That is number one. And number two, we also cautiously, every animal testing what we do, we ensure the batch that goes out are protective. Otherwise, doesn't release batches out of the facility. Because we are checking not only just based on physical parameter, we are checking biologically in the animal, challenging the animal, checking in the animal and their antibody, and checking with the virus. So unless that confirmed, then that is the real situation to the human being. So that we create in animals.
Now, how many billion or million doses have you all already given of this? As we talk on December end of this year, how many would you have delivered to the world, and how many more are you planning to make for the next year?
I mean, we started with less production. We started with the 10 million doses capacity. We reach now 55 to 60 million doses capacity per
month.
Per month. Right. I mean, probably this is the highest in any inactivated vaccine can produce anywhere in the world. And we reached almost 55 to 60 million per month. We started in the beginning a little late because facility has to be upgraded, facility has to change, adapted, people has to be trained. All that took time, but now people are geared up. So we are now doing 55 to 60 million per month with production now.
Now, more a personal question. When this whole process was going, after all, this is an absolutely brand new vaccine. There are people's lives at stake. India's prestige is at stake also, because For the first time, you have a major manufacturer like you doing it indigenously in the country. What was your main worry when you were looking at this?
My worry is, if I can't take this vaccine, I don't want anybody else in this country to touch this vaccine. And I given rotavirus vaccine when we got approved. My grandson was the first one to take a vaccine. If my grandson could take my own vaccine, then others can take it. But I take it very personally, emotionally on this quality issues, very seriously. Okay, if our employees cannot take this vaccine, there's no point in quality. I mean, I think it's important. Our employees should believe in our vaccine, and I should be able to take it, and my grandson should be able to take it. Then only I can advise to others.
So did you take the first vaccine that you made, or how, who did you give it to when you first, when you say, I feel that the confidence should come from here?
Whether it is right or wrong, but there was no vaccine, and I was working almost 12 to 14 hours in the plant, and I was the first one to take a vaccine.
Wow, and no effects, nothing that...
I want to see. I could have asked my employees to take a first vaccine. That is not right for a leadership. And I'm the first one to took that vaccine. And then second, my president production person took the vaccine, second. And third dose, other people took it.
Amazing. And after you had done that, what were the other worries you had? Because after all, this is a long process. It doesn't end with you leaving the vials out of this laboratory that's there. What were the other concerns you had?
No, concern is very simple. How do I maintain the quality intact without disturbing? That's very important for us. And how do you increase the capacity? And how this vaccine go to children? My concern is now, how do I vaccinate the children of this country? It's very important because they're the future generation of the country. Okay, I don't want any child to be affected of any of the vaccine. So I'm very paranoid about those things. And we are good in children vaccine. We are a children vaccination company, from rotavirus to typhoid conjugate, polio to hepatitis B, everything children vaccine. So we understand the quality consciousness and safety that is required. Adults are the worst people to be vaccinated because every small reaction they'll be concerned. The babies are not that. They are very friendly to vaccine. Adults are not friendly to the vaccine. But still, we made like a children vaccine for adults.
And are you planning now to make a children's vaccine? What is now coming up from your laboratory to handle COVID?
No, we completed our phase 2, 3, completed. We submitted data to the government and they're waiting for the license.
Now this child vaccine that is there, is it similar to the adult vaccine, or have you made modifications to it?
It's exactly same. If I modify, then I have to do efficacy trial again in children, which is complicated for us. So we use the same dose and same concentration. Everything is same like adult to children.
And there is exciting news that you are now in the process of building a nasal vaccine, which you call the KISS vaccine. You tell us about it.
No, I call KISS vaccine. It's not just for fun for my employees to get some entertainment in the life. It's not to make a brand name like that. I say that if somebody take a nasal vaccine and if somebody kissed some infected person, you should not get the disease. So I feel the nasal will prevent the transmission. See, today we are wearing a mask only because to stop the transmission of the virus. All injectable vaccine can protect only a lower lung and this thing, not upper lung and respiratory tract will not be protected. So unless you protect, that's why people are vaccinated still get some diseases, but mild, but they get disease. The RT-PCR positive and all that because the upper lung is not protected. Whereas nasal will protect the entire upper lung and lower lung both and also stop the transmission because it doesn't multiply. So naturally you don't spread the disease to others. So really transmission can be blocked.
Could you just explain how you just spray it into your nose and what does it do? Why is it different from the vaccines that you get injectable?
So if I do a spray, I do single dose concept. So you spray and you can't reuse it. Okay, spray. So we thought Indian system is a 1.3 billion. How do I reach the population? So we took it as a nasal drop, like a polio drop, like rotavirus vaccine drops. We took it, just bend like this, put one drop here, breathe like this, you're done with it. Actually 4 drops, not 2, 4 drops, like that, you're done.
And what does it do? It protects your face area?
Entire area to upper lung to lower lung.
Now, can this vaccine that you are coming out with be used as part of the, many of us have been double dosed with Covishield, some with Covaxin. Can this be used, and what will be the role you see this nasal vaccine, the world's first nasal vaccine, if you beat everybody else, will do?
See, when we tried nasal vaccine alone, it was not working very well. Okay? When we have tried on an infected patient and who are taken Covaxin and Covishield, when we tested, it is working very well. So that means for nasal, actually this is the scientific secret of us. We are the first one in the world to figure out these signs. That means priming with inactivated vaccine is important. Priming live or inactivated doesn't matter. Priming with injectable vaccine is very important, and second dose can be nasal. When you have a second dose nasal, that also fits well for stopping the transmission. The simple angle, you need a priming with something else before then giving a nasal.
So when you say priming, from what I understand is you're already vaccinated, you have a certain immunity in your body. So if I'm double vaccinated and you're, either with Covishield or Covaxin, if you take the nasal vaccine, it is twice as effective without taking, suppose you don't have those and you take it. Am I right? That's the way you explain
If you make a nasal vaccine to work the way it should be working, 100 times more better vaccine than the injectable vaccine. I want to underline this statement. The reason is the immune response that produced by the IgA, we call IgA means apple, IgA response, and then number one. And next is mucosal immunity, and also the lungs has produced a plasma cell, and these plasma cells will be present in the lungs and which are being vaccinated and start producing IgA response. Whenever infection occurs, IgA will respond. And IgA, the broadest immunity. It is not only on COVID, it might work even flu also. Other viruses also it will work. So it's got a broad, even the Yale University published yesterday paper, Nature Immunology, it's got a broadest response of the nasal immunity. And everybody in the world is looking for nasal immunity. I think nobody took a risk of doing thing. And I think we are fortunate enough to move the 2 phase 2 trial. We've done phase 1, we've done preclinical, we've shown 100% protection with the 1 dose of nasal vaccine in the animal, and we have done phase 1. And we done phase 1, we got something we understood the immunology. In a phase 2 phase 2 trial we have done, 1 phase 2 low dose, high dose, another phase 2 we did with heterologous changing of thing, which is better. So we found Covaxin first dose, second dose with the nasal gives the best response.
And when do you expect it to come out? What more has to be done for that phase, this trials to be over?
We want the government to help us, because now the problem is a lot of people are vaccinated and a lot of people are infected. So to find the people, naive population who are not infected, who are not vaccinated, is going to be difficult for us. So we want the government help, whether they can put it as a booster vaccine. Suppose if Kerala has got this problem, suddenly some disease epidemic came. So nasal can be given to all the people there, see what happens. And this sort of booster dose will really significantly change.
Now, coming to the other fact that when you're talking about another viral, a mutation of the COVID coming in, we have Omicron coming now. What do you see in the horizon? Because Omicron is there, does that mean we will continue to have a threat and you'll have to keep making newer and newer vaccines to meet this threat?
No, not required. I'm telling you, the variants are expected in the virus. I've been telling all the time, RNA viruses are the highestly wobbly. It means while multiplying thousands of billions of pieces are producing in lungs, there's a shortage of nutrition, shortage of bases. So it starts giving error while making RNA to RNA copying. While copying RNA to RNA, error occurs. And that error comes as a variant. It's nothing simple, it's a simple concept. And in RNA, it's common, RNA virus. In a DNA, it doesn't happen, no mutation. You get a mutation, like for example, you and me, 100% genome at DNA level same. Then why are we different? At RNA level, there are differences. And that difference, what we are seeing in a variant right now, in a virus. And it is expected, it's not something unnatural, it's expected. And my feeling is, not only Omicron, something else is going to come next. And that may go to more animals. It is a predictor.
Do you see, therefore, that you have to keep modifying your line? You have Covaxin, you might have to make Covaxin Plus. Do you have to keep changing your lines to suit the mutations of the virus to combat it?
No, our facility will be same. Our base will be same. The only thing is, suppose like a flu vaccine strategy. Replace the Wuhan strain, put back Delta or Omicron into the fermenter, and that multiplies. So same manufacturing process, same thing, and vaccine will be a new variant, not a problem.
And given the fact that in terms of how do you feel, making India's contribution in terms of the first COVID vaccine that India has made indigenously, and among the top 8, 10 vaccines in the world, what is your sense when of achievement that you have in this?
I mean, we are not top 8, we are top 4 countries. Only 4 countries, US, UK, China, India. Only 4 countries. 4 countries only produce the vaccine. Okay, so I think we're proud, and I just want this to be inspiration for the younger generation, because they're the future for India. And I mean, India may be a complex country, complicated country, but still you have an opportunity to do it. That's my message for all young kids. Take risk, do it. First, country first, society first, and then yours next last.
And what is your, something personal about you? Apart from doing vaccines, you do other things. What are the things that you like to do?
No, I mean, I look at a problem of the society or a trade barrier as a game to create small ideas to innovation. Like my food project, Ella Food. I was talking to you just now, Ella Food. US government putting a restriction on the Indian spices. Both India and Mexico are red alert because we are carrying salmonella, staph aureus, some of the human pathogen are going along with spices to US market. So US FDA said we need to be watching on the Indian spices and the Mexican spices. I said, okay, how do I do that? Okay, so now we produce in a cryogenic spices. I mean, I'm grinding spices in a minus 170 temperature, because right now the metal contact produce 270 degrees temperature. So all the flavor, natural color of the chili powder, all gone. Look at the chili powder that comes from the grinding. It comes red, becomes a brown. Red chili should be red color, not brown. It becomes brown because of the heat that produced. So medicinal value also gone. So how do I achieve the medicinal value of the product? And second is, how do I retain the natural color of the spices? Third is, how do I make microbial free? All three achieved. That I created as a game to help farmers. See, farmers are the best entrepreneurs. Today they are willing to take a risk and produce any product that you want in this country. What is important is they need help in marketing. How do you add value to them, and how do you export those products so that farmers produce can get a better value? That is what I'm working.
Now, since you mentioned farmers, I noticed in your biodata that you actually began as an agriculture scientist and moved to pharmaceuticals. What made you shift from a PhD that you did in agriculture to now moving into making of drugs and vaccines?
I mean, that's one things happens in US. When I did my PhD, the move to, I want to change a different field. National Institute of Health gave me a fellowship to do differently. That helped, okay? So I think the science at a cellular level, at DNA level, at protein level, all cells are same. Whether plant, animal, human, all are same. Okay, there's no differences at DNA level. So it doesn't make sense. All are exactly same to us.
So why did you shift?
I think I was a molecular biologist. That's how I got into hepatitis B vaccine. It's not that I know anything on vaccine. I got into vaccine field because I was working on yeast molecular biology. My field in US was gene knockout and gene expression. That was my field. So I used that same strategy to produce hepatitis B vaccine in yeast. That's how I started the career.
Now, you came back to India, you were a US citizen, you had stayed with your wife there. You could as well lived there very happily, had all that. Why did you choose to come back and do what you did?
I mean, honestly, I didn't want to come back. So I'm well settled, enjoying my science, R&D and all that. But my wife wants to come back to India. And my mother also requested me to come back. I think ladies are very important, powerful message they can give to life. I think that's how it made me to come back.
And what were the challenges you faced? I mean, people think you have it easy. They look at you and say, okay, you've made this billions of doses of things. But what were the great challenges you need to face, and what is your message, therefore, to make India better in terms of speeding up processes that you had to face?
My first 15 years of journey was very hard. One, understanding the regulatory system, understanding the science, and also upgrading the skill set of the people, because there was no skill set of manufacturing in this country. Then R&D level they have, but not manufacturing. So we need to recruit a lot of young people and put them into skill set, train them very well to become the best in what they can do. And that was a challenge. So all of us challenge. And clinical trial, because India, mostly we are a generic country. We do 150 people, 200 people. We just check the immunogenicity of GSK vaccine here, my vaccine here, and show that both the immune response are same. That's how the clinical trial was done in this country. But we have to show the efficacy trial. I think today we reach a level, I think in the efficacy trial, US and UK, India is the only country. Chinese have not done efficacy trial in the beginning. They have done it afterwards, efficacy trial. So we were the at least third country in the world to do efficacy trial. So that shows that we are equal to any multinationals in the world on doing an efficacy trial. That's very important for a country like us.
Now, what does your achievement therefore mean for India? What can youngsters, India aspire to in the vaccine zone that we are talking? I'm only looking at vaccine. I know you make other products. What is that big message that we are sending across to the world?
I think, 3-4 message I want to give. I want younger generation to take a risk, do what society wants. Country may be a big word to say. Some people say they criticize, but I don't want to say that. But what society wants, whichever society, whether Africa wants, Latin America wants, what they have problem, can you solve that problem? If you solve that, you are become a best innovator and best entrepreneurs. That's number one message. Second is self-reliance, what Prime Minister is talking, Atmanirbhar program. I think this is a message, this is a success story of this one, is an inspiration for others. Yes, it can be done with all the odds in the country. Still you can do it in this country. Okay? So there's no point keep talking negativity about it, India. Everything is negative. Is not. If that negativity is there, nobody would have succeeded. I think we can do a lot of things in this country. Country offers 1.3 billion people market. So there's no other country in the world you have such a large market. And that reach can happen only from India. And I think every entrepreneur can be excited about it.
Now, finally, we are the vaccine manufacturing capital earlier, and you make the largest amount of rabies vaccines, typhoid vaccines. You have Serum Institute also doing a whole lot of vaccines that they export to the world. How can we become both a vaccine manufacturer and, most importantly, a developer of vaccines, as you have shown? What does India need to do? Can we become the vaccine capital of the world?
So there are two strategies. One, you produce a generic vaccine, what UNICEF wants it, okay? That's a different game, like pentavalent vaccine, hepatitis B, all that. A generic vaccine, what UNICEF wants. That's a scale-up capacity. And you cost arbitration, it's basic. The second aspect of it is the innovation, okay? That's how we created a rotavirus vaccine. We brought the first time in the world as a 5-drop concept on a oral. Just 5 drops on the oral, baby, mouth, your lifetime immunity against a diarrhea. Okay, rotavirus. Typhoid conjugate vaccine, first vaccine in the world. So that at least we've done better than US, Europe, or any multinational. We've done innovated the typhoid conjugate. Now the typhoid conjugate can go to 6 months baby onwards, 200 years old man. So span from 6 months baby to 100 years, the typhoid conjugate, first time. And again, WHO pre-qualified. And again, Rota, we are the largest producers in the world, rotavirus vaccine. And typhoid conjugate, we are the innovators. And third is rabies. We are the largest producer, again, rabies vaccine because of acquisition of Rabipure from Chiron. And we are the largest rabies producers in the world.
So you think India could become the vaccine capital of the world?
Yes, every chance, every opportunity. Already, we were actually. All of us, Serum Institute, us, all put together, 2 out of 3 children are vaccinated with the Indian vaccine. So I think India has done tremendous. I think this one field, India has done extremely well compared to other fields.
And what would you expect the government to do now? What is the kind of enabling atmosphere you think, ecosystem you think the government can provide to future, not only to you, but future entrepreneurs who can make this vaccine capital, both development as well as manufacturing, a reality?
I mean, we have taken care of quite a bit of Indian requirement. I think we really should help Africa, okay? And I think we should really help Africa what their problems are. We are working one of the vaccine called NTS. It's an African specific thing. Because, sorry, Thabo Mbeki from South African president came to India. He came, spent 4 hours in our plant. He said, Indian company wants to exploit African market, but you don't want to help Africa's problem. You don't want to solve the African problem. That hit my mind very deeply. I said we should do something for Africa. So that's how we are working with cholera vaccine. Work with Merck and Wellcome Trust. We're working with that. And the cholera vaccine now getting into phase 3 trial. And second one is the NTS project. We completed phase 1 trial in US, Baltimore. We completed phase 1. Thanks to Wellcome Trust, they funded the project. Now we're going to take phase 2, 3 into Africa. Okay? I think we have moral responsibility as an Indian manufacturer to help Africa what their problems are. And I think we need to do that. And also, some of the neglected diseases are there in India, leishmania. Can we solve that problem ourselves? Malaria is a bigger problem in Orissa, northeast problem. How can we solve those problems? Those are complicated diseases, but I think we can solve. Now we need to go next level of complexity and solve the problem. And I think we should be prepared for that. And we need a government, some encouragement of little financial help and little clinical trial help in those centers. Third, regulatory process, helping the Indian company, anything comes out, Indian innovation, should give a fast track clearances.
And you mentioned a very important point, vaccine equity. While we all might be protected in India, in the West also, we have seen that if you don't protect the world itself, you have to vaccine the world. We saw Omicron come into the business. You might have other variations of that. What do you think we need to do to ensure vaccine equity, that Africa, as you mentioned, very importantly, other countries, the poor countries, also have the vaccination so COVID doesn't have the chance of multiplying and hitting us back again?
No, I really want 50% of our production should be really allowed to sell it in Africa. And I'm telling honestly, it's moral obligation for us. We cannot be selfish. We can't take care of ourselves. Okay? It's required. If I have a two-dose vaccine, I want to give it to you one I want to give it to Africa. So that those society also survives. And they also can trust us. And I'm telling honestly, I think government is also thinking in the direction. We are also sincerely want to help Africa. Anything we can do for them to help.
And finally, a personal sort of thing. What is if you're not doing vaccines, what else are you doing personally? I mean, what else do you like to do?
Personally, for me, everything, my breathing is science, and eat science, and exhale science, and there's nothing else for me, only science, nothing else.
Well, Dr. Ella, we wish you all the very best. And even not just for this vaccine, but for future, and make India the vaccine capital. That is Dr. Krishna Ella. We are speaking in Bharat Biotech, the manufacturer, the indigenous manufacturer of Covaxin, and many more achievements to come. Thank you very much. Okay, I need to do the intro again. Hello, I'm Raj Chengappa, and I'm standing in the laboratory of the Bharat Biotech, the company that made Covaxin the first indigenously manufactured vaccine in the world that India has done. And the man that did all that is Dr. Krishna Ella, the chairman and managing director of Bharat Biotech. Dr. Ella, welcome to our little brief interview that we have here. What is the main reason for the success that you've been able to achieve, the kind of tremendous achievement that has happened? Because this is no doubt the first indigenous vaccine at a pace that normally vaccine takes 10 years to do, but you've been able to do it in this short span and yet prove efficacious and now widely accepted by the WHO as well in other countries.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Rotavirus took 17 years for us to come. Typhoid conjugate, 10 years. Chikungunya, we've done it 2006, and now it's now in phase 3 trial. Zika, we've done in 2015, and right now in the phase 2 trial. So that speaks how long. And I think Covaxin has got, because it's a global requirement. So both regulatory system is changed, and government also proactively pushed it, and the trial centers were happy. But I think this is the first time I've seen volunteers coming forward without even asking. So they're coming for volunteers. That was a phenomenon. And I think that all helped us. And then public-private partnership helped us to do animal challenging studies quickly in NIV. All the many factors facilitated. And I think most important, I give credit to my employees, my colleagues here. I think their dedication, without their dedication, I don't think it would have been possible.